Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast, a hybrid structure encompassing health, fitness, self-improvement, and entertainment, where no topic is off limits and all opinions are graciously welcomed.
Let's get on with the show!
And now, here's the host of the show, Mike Sinopoli.
Welcome to the MFS Wellness Podcast. I am Mike Sinopoli, certified nutrition coach, consultant, counselor, call me whatever you would like. On this episode, which should be the last one of the year of 2022, I took to Instagram yet again and did a second Q&A and was excited to see that I've got over double the amount of questions as I did from the first one. So I do appreciate everybody that has contributed here, those that listen, those that follow. It means the world to me. It really does. And it's one of the things I'm most grateful for, especially those who do listen to this podcast. For someone to take their time and listen to me talk, that is one of the best compliments, and it truly means a ton. So thank you from the bottom of my black heart. So I'll just get right into it. I do a Q&A just in case you're just listening to this without checking Instagram or anything like that. I don't really put any rules to these questions. I don't filter anything. I don't toss anything necessarily. With the, what do you call them? The anonymous ones. I do two links. I do an anonymous and I do a non-anonymous ways to ask. I will keep all questions anonymous at this point. But sometimes I believe that one app on Instagram, that NGL that asks these anonymous questions, I think they kind of feed computer generated ones as well. So I try to filter those out because they seem very generic and plain. So I don't think I have any of these in there, maybe one or two snuck in, but hell, I'll answer them anyways just for the shit of it. So to get into this here, the first question, is there any way to determine initial body fat percentage based on weight loss? I needed to clarify that with the person that answered. What they were wondering was they wanted to know what their starting body fat percentage was at the beginning of their weight loss journey. This person has lost a ton of fat and making amazing progress. Somebody I follow as well on Instagram. And I think she was asking this based on curiosity mostly to see if she could determine where she was when she started at her body fat percentage. I don't really know. I'm not going to lie to you. And I don't think there is an accurate way to really tell without getting too in depth with numbers and maybe having to see a doctor for a more accurate reading of your current body fat percentage. Because what happens is we don't know, how you're losing the fat. And this isn't specific to this person, but to anyone that loses X amount of weight. Just by knowing the weight, we don't know how much muscle's deteriorated. We don't know where else the weight's coming from. It's all fat. What percentage of it? So it's hard to determine that without even looking at the person and having a pre-existing reading. So all in all, I wouldn't worry too much about this. Body fat percentage in general isn't very accurate all the time. It's there. It's a tool. You can use it. You could just like you're weighing yourself on the scale. I wouldn't get too obsessed with it. Use the mirror more than anything. You can tell if somebody is leaner and a lower body fat percentage based on the muscle mass that they have. You can look at two people who may have lost the same amount of weight. One looks a little more fit or toned, if you will. They might have a lower body fat percentage overall due to added muscle mass. So that's where I'd put that. Use the mirror. Don't worry too much about it. Don't worry about percentages and numbers as much. Go by how you feel, how you look, and just your overall health, and that really will do it for you. Moving along to the next question. Focusing so much on fitness at the expense of relationships. What's your take? So that is, it's a red flag to dial it back. It really is. If you're losing relationships and damaging other aspects of your life, it shows a bit of an unhealthy obsession, maybe some extremism there. This really depends on your goals too. If you're just a person who's kind of trying to lose some weight and get into the fitness world and change your lives, but you're going too far, you're not going for a show or any sort of event you're training for, but you're just doing it to do it. But you're not seeing your friends, you're neglecting your family. Maybe your spouse is feeling neglected and left out, and you're not making genuine connections with people. That is a sign. I think you need to dial it back and balance out life a little bit more. I've been here. I've closed myself off to things, and that's no way to live. It's not a sustainable way of life. We do thrive on human connection. One of the reasons why I am vocally against the whole COVID-19 measures is that there was so much distancing and stay away and keep away and go virtual and all this. People need touch. People need to be face to face. We need more of that. That's what we're designed for. Just because the world around us is changing doesn't mean us as a species is necessarily changing instinctually. So I would say that that is a very, very unhealthy red flag that needs to be addressed and should be caught if you notice it, or if somebody does bring it up to you and maybe you react with some irritability saying, this is my life, I'm doing what I want to do. Hey, we get that. But, at the expense of these relationships, you may have a lot of regret when you're down to a 1% body fat, or a single-digit body fat, I should say, and you have no friends and you neglected your family and you're just end up lonely and ripped. And then I don't think lonely and ripped is a very fun way to live. I prefer to be in good shape myself and have wonderful relationships with my friends, my family, my kids, and whatever else. So I think that should be something that you should always have in the back of your head when you're taking on a fitness journey. Don't get too hyper-focused, too obsessed with it. Spend time with family, go out to eat. Don't restrict yourself. That's diet mentality. It cannot be sustained with pure happiness. I don't see it correlating, at least not for the majority. All right, next up, things you tell your daughters before starting a fitness journey. To those of you that don't know, I have 2 daughters, 5 and 8. Adorable kids, great kids. I do instill some good health ideas in them, some habits around eating a little bit, to not get too I try to like I said in the one before, I don't want to get too obsessive with them just yet. Instilling habits is the best thing I could do. So I would tell them, make it part of who they are. That's what I would tell them. Make this part of who you are, not who you are. That means, respect yourself. That is self-respect. Okay. Working out, eating well, all of that. Some people might have an idea of that as like, I don't know, an ego or someone being or high and mighty or whatever you want to call it. But to me, doing those things, taking care of yourself, is self-respect. It's also self-love. And those are the things I would tell those girls. First off, my daughters, is don't get too hyper-focused, but don't throw it all away. Self-respect, self-love, and it can diminish other aspects of life. So I would just set them on the path similar to the question that was asked prior to this, that exact path, to tell them that, hey, you can't just focus solely on this and neglect everything else around you. That's your emotional health, your mental health, your family, your friends, hobbies. Life has many varieties to it. Okay. Like there's a lots to do here. There's a lot that incorporates health. It's not just the absence of disease. It's not how you look, health isn't determined by how ripped somebody is. So it's an aspect that incorporates everything. It took me a long time to learn that, and I'm still learning that. So I would hand that off to them as they go and back them the whole way and encourage them. And hey, nothing wrong with getting into the gym and doing some movement every day, eating well more often than not. That's the way I would go, help them with that 80-20 route. All right, moving along to the next question is how I got into fitness. Well, it started out when I was a young teen, like most men, I'd say, that it was all body related. I wanted to attract the opposite sex for me, females. I was hoping to look good, to get a girlfriend, and whatever else that comes with that, being in about high school at the time. I also watched wrestling. I was a big wrestling fan as a kid. And, in wrestling, a lot of those guys had monster physiques. So I wanted to emulate them and look like them. And that kind of drove me a little bit to go that route, to get that physique and feel that and feel good about that. But on a deeper level, if you want to know when I truly got into fitness, I'd say when I was about 30. I started getting more health conscious. When you hit those milestones, just going to speak on that right now, is I'm going to be 40 in about 5 months. When I turned 30, I started getting more health conscious and wanted to take better care of myself. It's a big leap, to me, those decades. So that was something that clicked in me. I had quit smoking. I dialed my drinking back a little bit at that point. Still was not where I needed to be at all. And most importantly, shortly after 30, I believe it was 31, I found out that I would become a dad. And I wanted to set an example and personally be around as long as I can, do whatever is in my power to stick around as long as I can to be there for my daughter's life. So those are the things that kind of drove me into fitness. And once I started doing the whole posting on social media about myself, I realized that I could help other people, and that's just added a whole nother aspect to this. And to be honest, I'll tell you, and it sounds like I'm just virtue signaling here, but it is just almost more rewarding to help other people than my own self with this kind of stuff. So love every minute of it. Happy with my journey and where it went and where I'm at. And I just intend to keep going. And fitness isn't something for the youth, for the young. It's as important as ever as we age, from the ages of your teens all the way to your 90 if you can. I met a guy at the gym, a few guys, and they're inspirational. There was a man, 86 years old. His name was Roosevelt. I worked out with him a couple times over at LA Fitness. And man, it just shows you he was vibrant. He was lively. He was moving around, and he just said he would get into the gym every day or as often as he could, and that inspired me. So those are the guys that I look to for inspiration, and that's what keeps me in fitness. So that's sort of how the progression went for me. Let's see here. What do we got next? Okay, we got another one here that's going to be interesting to read. Thinking about cutting off my wiener. Does the coexist bumper sticker just appear? To answer that for you, I think if you do chop off your genitalia, you will still have to purchase the coexist bumper sticker for your vehicle. I would recommend that if you are looking to change genders, that you consult with a professional and get surgery done by them. I believe, though, in that case, you'll still have to purchase your own coexist bumper sticker. I don't think that comes along with the surgery. So the answer to that is it does not just appear by removing or adding genitalia. Okay, moving along here, we have my favorite memory. What is your favorite memory of this year, being 2022? My favorite memory for sure is moving into our new home. My wife and I had been talking about moving for several years. She was more into it longer than I was. I wasn't exactly ready about 4 or 5 years ago when she started mentioning it. Did cause some maybe a little bit of turmoil in the home here and there, but we won't get into those things. It's just standard marital issues that arise and fall as things progress. But getting into this new house that we have is something I'm very grateful for, happy about it. It was a smooth transition. It was a lot less stressful than I had made it out to be. I had some panicky nights and thoughts, and per usual, our thoughts and feelings prior to things are elevated, and we're just more or less fearing the worst, and it all seems very overwhelming, and we ask ourselves all these open-ended questions. But all in all, we're settled in, getting things together, and feeling pretty good now. So that would be my favorite memory of this year, 2022. Let's see. What do we got next here? We have, excuse me. Okay, if you go over on your macros 1 or 2 days for the week, how should you balance the rest of the week? All right, so that's asking if you are counting your macros and calories and you have a couple days where you overeat. There's 2 ways to go here. So if you know how many calories and macros you've exceeded, what you can do on the back end in the following days is just balance it out. So, for instance, if you are supposed to eat 2,000 calories and you ate 2,500 calories and extra carbohydrates, all you would want to do is maybe over the next few days reduce your calories down to, say, 1,800. And that'll make up for it. And your body doesn't know time. So you can sort of make up for what you've exceeded on the back end. So that's something people forget about. And that's also very important to know, because the spiral happens where you feel like you fucked up and you give up on yourself, you self-sabotage, and you feel like shit. And it's unnecessary, because you can always use days after to negate what you did. You can go ahead and eat at a lower count. And that's actually something that's structured for weekends for people who are casual dieters who want a macro count and keep their physique and maintain that. So you could do is, like, if you're eating 2,000 calories, you can eat 1,800 Monday through Friday, and then you can add the extra ones you've backlogged for the weekend when you might be going out to eat, or you want to have a big meal to make for the family or something like that, and that'll balance out a little bit more. The other way is hey, accept it. Oops, I overate a couple of days, big deal, and realize it, understand, and maybe just determine why you went over. Like, what happened those days? Why did I go over my food? Was it something, did I go somewhere? Is there emotional things at play? Did I just have a moment? Figure out why. and accept it, and then just go along with where you already were. Okay, so that's it. So those are the two ways that you can do it. You can either on the back end, you can fix it and eat less, or you can just accept it, analyze it, see why, and I would do that for both ways too, and move along and just keep going. The last thing you want to do is get mad at yourself and feel like you failed because you didn't. The next two questions, I'm going to just read these off really quick because I don't even know how to answer them. Why are you such a shithead? And why are you so gorgeous? Well, thank you for calling me gorgeous. That's very nice of you. Not sure who sent that, but we'll go ahead and be grateful for it. And why am I such a shithead? Well, I'm just kind of born that way, you know. Just your everyday shithead. That would be it. So thank you for those. Like I said, I read just about every question, no matter what the content. All right, so the next question here is ideas for getting more protein in without using powder. I can understand this here. You don't need powder. You do not need protein powder, whey, casein, any of it. It's not necessary. The only reason it's good is because it can help you hit your protein target in a very short amount of time. It's very convenient. It's this powder that you can kind of put together into a blender bottle, have 2 of those a day, and you're probably at 50 grams of protein right there. And it's a good source. So if you don't like it, it's not going to be something that you're going to last. I don't really use that, not on its own. I'll put it in oatmeal. But outside of things like beef, chicken, eggs, steak, and fish, which are great sources of protein, liquid egg whites, you can go with something along the lines of like beef jerky, Greek yogurt, protein bars, and those things that were the former there, the beef, chicken, steak, all that, prep that. That's a way to get more protein in without using powder, is have your protein sources pre-cooked for as long as they'll last and have it ready to go. That's a big step to hitting your protein target, is having it ready to be eaten, where it only has to either be put in the microwave or on the stove for a minute or two, and it's ready to be eaten. That's the best thing you can do to hit that protein target without using powder. Another idea is to actually track your protein only. And just go ahead, if you're not into tracking, and maybe that, it's not that bad to track your protein because you're actually just trying to hit a number. You're not like restricting or worried about like things like people that have to worry about calories and carbs so much. You do want to be concerned with those, but at the same time, I think just tracking the protein itself, knowing what you need, having your food ready, that is the way to go. I did a short reel on how to go to a gas station and get 100 grams of protein just by walking in there. And I did it in 3 items: a bag of beef jerky, a protein bar, and a ready-to-go protein shake, which isn't necessarily the powder, but it's similar in its form. So you can get 100 grams just by walking into a gas station, and it cost me like $14. So those are some ways to do it. Stay aware of it, stick with it, understand the value of it, and I promise that will become a habit for you. And hitting that protein target is one of the key elements to achieving good health and the body that you are looking for. All right, next question is, what was your favorite show as a kid? So I was a kid for a while. What do you consider a kid? Obviously from, 2 years old, 3 years old, all the way up until maybe before you just turned to a teen. So a few of those shows, I'd say the number one show that I remember watching as a kid was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Absolutely had fond memories of watching that over and over again. Garfield and Friends was a big one for me. I still do watch that sometimes on YouTube, and I don't care what anybody thinks. It's a great show. I even like that U.S. Acres with Orson and all those other farm animals. I don't care. Wonderful show. Ghostbusters was big. If you're talking about cartoons, when I was younger, as I got a little bit older, into maybe when I was like 10 or 11, I was into Full House, Family Matters. The whole TGIF thing was big. Boy Meets World. Big fan of the Muppets. The Muppets were huge for me, with the Muppet Babies and the actual Muppet Show and the movies. Loved those. Sesame Street was probably my first memory of a TV show that I would watch. I recall watching that very, very young with my mom. So Sesame Street was huge. And WWF Wrestling. Wrestling was my, like I mentioned before, I would definitely gravitate to that. And probably my most watched show as a kid would be the WWF Wrestling shows. I do a wrestling podcast. It's called Mark's Side of the Ring. Maybe you didn't know that about me, so I am on that show. It's at Mark's Side of Ring on Instagram if you want to follow, or give us a like and a listen as well. So I'll plug that show as well. Anyways, moving along. What are your thoughts on the carnivore diet, and are vegetables toxic? Oh boy. All right. I think the carnivore diet is a restrictive bunch of nonsense. It's a fad. It's like counterculture to veganism, maybe, where you just eat all meat, cheese, fat, very little carbohydrates. I honestly think veganism sounds more appealing than the carnivore diet. And that's legit, because there are way more options as a vegan than you can get on the carnivore diet. I don't want to sit down and eat a bunch of chicken and steak only, just sitting there plain as hell with some butter on it or something. I also don't think it's going to be healthy for you in the long run. I think it's going to lead to a lot of deficiencies. I don't think it's balanced enough. It needs vegetables. And are vegetables toxic? I say very far from toxic. I say you should be having several servings of vegetable a day. Never listen to any of that stuff that they have to say that demonizes vegetables. You're going to eat those. That's the way it is. You should be eating those. Find ones you like. Find ones you can sustain and eat regularly. You know, if you don't eat one for a day, that's fine. Don't beat yourself up, but keep the vegetables in there. Ditch the carnivore, ditch the keto. All these fads, I'm telling you, they just are extremes. If you think about it, it's an extreme. When you take something and like eliminate a macronutrient, it's an extreme. The fat-free thing, goodbye fat. No thanks. That didn't last. We just replaced it with sugar, and everybody overate calories and got even fatter, and then processed foods boomed from that, and this made us worse. Carbohydrates, we're learning now, it's not the absence of carbs. Carbohydrates don't cause fat gain on consumption. It's the fact that we're consuming too much processed crap, refined sugars that all are carb heavy. They don't satiate. They stimulate more eating. That's why when you're full, you can still eat desserts. You can still have sweets. That you still have that room. It's different. But if you're full and I put a plain chicken breast in front of you, you'll probably want to throw up on that. But if I put a cupcake down, you can probably scarf that thing down and maybe another one. So the whole point of that is to just eliminate all this other shit. That's all it comes down to, is eliminating the processed crap and the sugars. It just comes down to that. It's the same thing, just worded differently in all these different ways. It's just a carbohydrate restriction just means it's going to throw up more protein at you, and you'll lose weight on these diets because you're going to restrict yourself away from something that you probably are going to still want to eat. That's why it fails so often. So do they work physiologically? Somewhat, yes, but mentally, emotionally, and realistically, habitually, no, they don't. So I would stay far away from the carnivore diet all you can, and focus strictly on what's sustainable for you and what's going to get you to your goal. Okay. And then we got the last question here. It's about a drug called phentermine. What that is a appetite reducing pill. This is a pipe dream. This is nonsense. It's a last resort. It's for somebody who is so resistant to changing their lifestyle and their diet that they will seek out a pill and pay for a pill, which needs an EKG to be first, and you have to get a doctor's approval for this. I think it's criminal that doctors are approving this kind of shit, to be honest with you. I don't care. I think it's irresponsible that it even exists. And then it says, I went to WebMD, the fearmonger site that everyone is afraid to go on. But phentermine is used with a doctor-approved exercise, behavior change, and reduced calorie diet program to help you lose weight. Now think about that. So you use the pill, but you need a doctor-approved exercise, behavior change, and a reduced calorie diet. Let me tell you something. If you ditched the pill and you just went ahead and exercised, changed some behaviors, and ate a reduced calorie diet, you're going to lose weight. So what are they going to tell you? The pill is a fucking placebo. Because what are they going to tell you? Oh, the pill's not working. Well, did you do the doctor-approved exercises, behavior changes, and calorie reduction? No. That's why it's not working. Let me tell you something. You ditch the pill, you do those things, it'll work, and you keep that going. It's a placebo. It's a sales pitch, in my opinion. It's a useless bunch of garbage. You don't need pills. It's not going to happen. I don't care. It's not. I stand by that. It's useless. And this is how hard it is and how resistant people can be to a lifestyle change and changing their diet. They will take on side effects, phentermine's side effects, restlessness, insomnia, headache, psychosis, dry mouth, rash, sexual dysfunction, an unpleasant taste, and gastrointestinal disturbances are all possible. Treatment of more than a few weeks increases the risk of addiction and dependence on the drug. So, you would rather Instead of change your life and rearrange your diet, exercise a little bit, and treat yourself with some self-respect, you will go ahead to a doctor, let them lazily prescribe you some pill that's going to help reduce your appetite and lose weight. But at the expense, you're going to take on the risk of restlessness, insomnia, headaches, psychosis, dry mouth, sexual dysfunction, rashes, all this nasty crap. You're going to take on that miserable feeling for this pill that ain't going to do shit for you if you don't do what it said before, which is exercise, change your behavior, and reduce your calories. Fuck it. I've never been more serious. I'm on the fence with things, and I'll be like, okay, yeah, maybe it'll help you. No. Fuck this shit. And fuck this whole lifestyle way of this medicate first crap that these doctors throw on you. I'm not shitting on doctors, but the medicate first thing when it comes to this type of thing is trash. This is for somebody that's probably tried way too many diets, tried way too many things, failed because it's the diet culture is fucking them over. Not their fault. The diet culture is giving them this piss poor information and making them buy expensive crap that's not sustainable, selling them on detoxes, selling them on cleanses and fixes and challenges and boot camps and nonsense and garbage. Total garbage. No. The best thing you can do is moderate your food, learn what your body needs to function, to get the results going, tell the pills to go to hell. You don't need them. You don't even need supplements. You don't even need that. You don't need to go buying things. You literally just need to just focus in your head and change the habits. Change your habits. Don't resist it. What you're resisting is probably where you need to change. That is exactly what it is. The resistance is where the pain comes. And then that is what drives the frustration, which drives desperation, which sends you to the doctor. Now you're getting EKGs to take a pill that cause 7, 8, 10 different terrible side effects that don't sound pleasing at all. And one of them is insomnia. And sleep is the driver of everything. So you're fucked if you take this pill, in my opinion, and you're just going to go down another route that you're going to have to come out of and recover. So whatever. I could do a whole podcast on this, and I probably will. I want to research into it more, though. I want to have a little more to go off of just to prove my point even further and put a harder stamp on that. So please don't take pills. It's the last-ditch effort. There's no magic pill. If there was, everyone would be walking around ripped and just gorgeous and just in shape and just lean as fuck. There's no magic pill. There isn't. And the person that invents it, if it ever comes, they'll be the richest person that ever lived. And I still think with fitness, there's something about working for it and making the sacrifices and getting in the gym and building your physique and eating well. That's, even if there's a pill to make you look good, it's probably going to do exactly what this pill does inside of you and destroy your innards and cause you to be on more medication. So there's no magic pill. We're not going to see one in our lifetime either. And you can pull this up in 50 years if somebody comes up with one and say I'm wrong. And then I'll say, you're right, I was wrong. But you know what? Right now I'm not. So we're going to go with that. And we're going to live in the present and in the moment. So speaking of which, keep living in the moment. It's New Year's coming up. This will be my last podcast of the year, 2022. I got started up in April here with this. I really love doing it. I will keep doing it. I don't care if I have one listener. I will keep going because it's something I enjoy doing. I love it. I have the ability to host guests now on my podcast. If you are listening and you want to be on my podcast, you don't have to be something to be on here. You can just be a regular person. We can have a conversation. Bam. It's a podcast. Who cares? Put something out there. If you want to have some accountability, you can come on here and state it. And like I said, who cares who listens to it? You can reshare it. You have it stated. People will listen to it. Now you have put yourself out there and now are accountable because you said it out loud and it's documented here on a soundbite. So feel free to do that. I will almost accept anybody that wants to come on here and have a conversation regarding health, wellness, mental health, really anything. I can kind of go any which way. Like the intro says, no topic is off limits here. And all opinions will remain graciously welcome, whether I agree with them or not. So keep that going. Thank you for listening. If you don't know, you can find me over on social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, also LinkedIn at the handle @MFS Wellness. You can contact me by email, mike@mfswellness.com. So with that being said, that will end the 2022 episodes. Like I said earlier, I hope everybody has a fantastic new year. I can't stress the gratitude that I have for people who have listened to this podcast, have commented on it, have shared it, have been on it, have provided me feedback. And I'll take any feedback, positive, constructive, negative. I don't care. I love it. And I will hear anything you have to say and take that with sincerity. So have a wonderful new year. And 2023 is going to be a fantastic year. That is for sure. So until we hit the first episode of 2023, take care of yourselves and live well.